All right. It's time to talk about Cloak of Deception. And this is a book by James Luceno. And in it, the Trade Federation is being attacked by the Nebula Front. They're using a pirate named Captain Cole. And they're just destabilizing the Trade Federation, just constantly attacking them. The Trade Federation doesn't know what to do. And meanwhile, Darth Sidious is playing both sides. On top of this, we are starting to see that Chancellor Valorum's falling out of favor. House Valorum has been enriched in the Senate for generations, and he's the last of his lineage, basically, and everyone's sick of Valorum. But Valorum's a good person, and the only people really supporting him are the Jedi. So now we're starting to see where the Jedi are going to start falling out of favor with the Republic. That's slowly getting established here. But the big thing with this book is it shows Valorum's fall and the Trade Federation's rise. And more specifically, the Separatists' rise. Because this is the first appearance of Wat Tambor, the Banking Clan, the Techno Union Army. They're all referenced in here for the first time because this is not only a Phantom Menace tie-in book, it's also an Attack of the Clones tie-in because this came out in 2001. Closer to Attack the Clones rather than Phantom Menace. We also get Luminara Unduli's first appearance is in here. And then we get all sorts of wild EU connections. The Tag Corporation from the Marvel Comics is brought up multiple times in this as sort of in league with the Trade Federation or a similar type power. We're getting Vizier. Vizier's a character in this who is like one of the most important Star Wars characters for the expanded universe, in my opinion. Tarkin shows up, and Tarkin's background is the same as it is in Rogue Planet, so we have more continuity with Rogue Planet, which at the time was the only other Star Wars prequel era novel. So you gotta realize this is like technically like the second or third prequel era novel. We had Rogue Planet with the first one, and then we got Shadowhunter, which Shadowhunter does its own thing. It's very tying into Phantom Menace, and that's sort of its point. But we got this that really starts weaving continuity with Rogue Planet, with Bantam, with Joris Sabayoth is in this briefly. Senator Greebleeps, who's the senator from the ET planet, he's in this. It's kind of wild how much continuity's there. Oh, the moons of Bogdan are reference. The moons of flippin' Bogdan. Are you kidding me? This book's awesome, but a lot of people crap on this book because it's quote-unquote boring. I'm sorry. This is the most engaging Star Wars politics have ever been. I mean, the only other book I think that does it better is Darth Plagueis, which references the crap out of this book because they're both written by Luceno. It's incredible. Cloak of Deception, for like the longest time, I think most people considered it to be Luceno's worst book. For those of you who have read this, reread Millennium Falcon and Dark Lord: The Rise of Darth Vader. You know, the book that has Darth Vader's name on the cover, that Darth Vader doesn't show up for like the first half of the book? Yeah, I would rank both of those lower than this. Because, unfortunately, Millennium Falcon has to tie into Fate of the Jedi in the most clunky way possible. Yeah, no, I'll take Cloak of Deception over either of those any a day. Or James Luceno's new canon. This is well worth your time to check out. Like, every character, with the exception of Qui-Gon, is really great. Qui-Gon is the weak point of this book, and you might be wondering why. It really has to do with Jedi Apprentice was not done yet. In fact, Jedi Apprentice, the first two books are referenced in this, and Xanatos is referenced, although not by name. But you can tell that he didn't have the complete story of Jedi Apprentice by the time he had to start writing this. Otherwise, I can almost guarantee Qui-Gon would have been slightly different. As it stands, I think Qui-Gon fits the Phantom Menace Qui-Gon a lot better than the Jedi Apprentice one would. And it makes sense because this is closer to Phantom Menace than the 18th Jedi Apprentice book was. It's an older Qui-Gon. And Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan's interactions are very Phantom Menace as opposed to Jedi Apprentice, because they're both older. Obi-Wan's just about ready to become a Jedi Knight, and Qui-Gon's being more stern with him because he wants him to succeed. I know that certain people want this book to be rewritten, but I assure you all, this book is fine as it is. It's a solid read. It's well worth your time. I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5. It's not Lucino's best book, but it's far from his worst. I mean, I'd take this, like I said, over at least 4 of his Star Wars books. I don't think this outdoes Agents of Chaos or Darth Plagueis, or Labyrinth of Evil for that matter, but this is well worth your time to check out. Probably the best pre-Phantom Menace novel that isn't Darth Plagueis. Because I can't say... Darth Plagueis kind of transcends. It was like the best Star Wars EU book probably ever. But this, out of like what feels like pre-Phantom Menace stuff that's really setting up Phantom Menace primarily, this does it the best. But we do have some bangers with like Maul Lockdown and Shadowhunter, but Maul Lockdown is just a fun pre-Phantom Menace book that doesn't really set up anything other than Jill Schreiber's universe. So, anyway, check this out. It's worth your time, especially if you love prequel era politics and making sense of those movies. This one will really open your eyes to a lot of things.